very good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome and thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to attend the Change is Accelerating, Are You Ready webinar session. I am Chris and I will be your host for this session today. Our session is brought to you and organized by K Pinta. K Pinta, which is based in Kuala Lumpur, has been delivering internationally recognized professional and industry certification programs since 2002. It was founded to revolutionize the human capital development scene with the ultimate goal of achieving Malaysia's aspiration of becoming a high-income nation. It is further endorsed by industry and government agencies all over the region. K Pinta has etched its footprint to continually expand beyond Malaysian borders, serving Indonesia, Singapore, Brunei, Thailand, the Philippines, the Middle East, and more. For this 1-hour session today, we are happy to have Mr. Nantha Kumar and Ms. Abby Yong with us. Mr. Nantha will share with us about Proside ADKAR model, the 5 building blocks of individual change, and Ms. Abby will share her insights and successes as a change management practitioner. I am sure you will have questions to ask both these speakers about change management. So kindly do type out your questions in the Q&A panel, and we will get them to ask, and we will get them to answer your questions during the Q&A session at the end of their sharing. So now just a little bit more about our speakers for today. Mr. Nantha is a certified change practitioner and advanced instructor in change management with more than 20 years of experience in the education, manufacturing, and financial service industry, both locally and globally. Armed with knowledge and skills in change management, Nantha continuously delivers workshops and talks in change management to various businesses and industries. He delivers change management workshops to companies like Petronas, Shell, government sectors, IT, healthcare, education, telecommunication, manufacturing, and energy conglomerates, both in Malaysia and in Southeast Asia. As for Ms. Abby, she is leading the change management function in Everest. Together with her small team of 6 resources, they are involved in driving the change work stream in many large-scale transformational projects for clients Everest is serving globally. Before joining Everest, Abby was a director with EY Malaysia with more than 20 years of work experience in business advisory consulting with a focus in change management, communications, strategy development, and HR due diligence. Her industry exposure includes shared services, financial services, natural resources, oil and gas, and manufacturing. Okay, before I pass the controls over to Mr. Nantha, just a few messages for your attention. As you are aware of, this session will be recorded, is being recorded. We do hope you can stay on to the end of this session to avoid missing out on any key facts and information that may be shared by the speakers. I would appreciate if you kindly mute your mic during the whole session of this webinar. And it is also advisable to switch off your camera to avoid distracting the speakers as well as the other guests. And if you have any questions to ask, kindly do type it in the Q&A panel. We will have a Q&A session towards the end of this webinar, and your questions shall be asked to the guest speakers at that time. So, all right then, without any more delay, I invite Mr. Nantha to begin his session. Take it away, Nantha.
First of all, I would like to welcome every one of you for making the time today to explore and to learn change management in terms of the methodology. All right. First of all, welcome for your time, and I truly appreciate you are here for a reason. And I rest assured that when you go back end of the day, end of the webinar, you'll be able to grasp certain methodology and implementable approach for your change management. Okay. Now, a couple of things I want to share with you here right now. I will share with you what is change, what is the change management, and what is the Proside methodology, and how we can leverage on the ADKAR model for your change management. Yes, next one. Now, if you look at a couple of questions, when you, I believe that some of you here are in the discipline of change management, and some of you are in the manufacturing, also in terms of finance. Now, when you talk about the change management, the first impression comes in our mind is, I don't need this because my project is going on very well. And you may say that I already have a change management in my organization. That's good. And this could be interesting, but I'm not sure yet. Yes, I will make sure that it's interesting and you can take it and apply in your organization. And the last one is that it's about time. We have needed this for a while. Speaking about change, there is something very constant that's very happening. And I'm going to read with you a lot of examples and a lot of methodologies and cases whereby you can see how change is happening and how we can leverage on the change to make it better to achieve the results. Yeah, next one. Now, when you look at the change, now the bigger picture of the change is happening each and every day, right? Now, notwithstanding what's happening because of COVID and whatsoever, the change is a constant and it's keep on getting bigger and faster and more complex and more interchangeable change. Now, this is something that everyone see it day in, day out. But how does this change affect the business? When change happens in terms of globalization, in terms of technological changes, in terms of as simple as business processes, the business always have that mindset of how do we change our people, how do we change our business to attain our objective. Now, you can see businesses are competing each other with this pandemic. We have a lot of technological enhancement. We got a lot of business processes are being introduced. Now, all these changes, right? What are these drivers are? If you look at the next slide, it speaks about 4 quadrants. Now, the drivers, something is causing you to change. Now, take for example, for this session, something is driving you to come here. Why? Because you want to explore, you want to experience what is change management, why is it important, and how we can implement change in our organization. I'm not sure whether you are change driver or a change team or in a project management team or in a support team. So regardless of where you are, these are the drivers. Now we look at the drivers, it's internal and external. Bear in mind, something is causing you to move. That's the point here. Something is driving you to change. Now, you have a choice to force yourself to change or you support your employees or yourself to change. Now, look at the drivers, right? Internal and external drivers, current and future aspiration. People want to move to a bigger market, penetrate to a new industry, use technology in their business processes. They may want to lower their cost. They want to go and capture the market, customer segmentation market, or even they want to acquire new technology. See, all these things are driving the businesses and the organization to change. Now, the question is that amongst all these drivers, if you were to ask me from my experience, or rather from my observation the last couple of years, the main driver now, I would say, is the COVID-19. All right, you can see everywhere. What is happening is that the change is changing, but in an accelerated way. It's fast forward. It's fast forward. It's not like before this. Change is happening in slow mode. But because of COVID, right, it's accelerating the change. All right. If you go to the next slide, right, you'll see clearly. Now, next slide. Now, this is the change or process. Now, remember, I'm going to introduce with you what is change, why change is important, what are the methodology in change, and what are the model that you can use to implement the process in your organization. Now, if you look at this butterfly, from the cocoon becoming a butterfly, where you are now is the red, and where you want to be is the green. That's where we always want to be, but we do not know the future. So what we do, from the current state, we move into the future state through the transition. Now, if you look at transition, the next one, if you look at the next slide, right? Now, this is where you are, the current state. Remember, this state is the comfort state. Where you and I now is the comfort state, where we are. Unless, what happens is that you can't be in that state forever, because the globalization, technological, businesses, revenue, profit, investments, all are changing the business landscape. When these drivers change, the company must change. Now, the question is that, remember, companies do not change. People in the company changes. So if you look at the current state, this is where you and I are, and we are comfortable. So of course, our preference is current state. But if you look at the next one, the yellow color, the yellow or the amber is the transition state. This is where changes happens. This is where people do not know why are they changing. This is where people don't get support to change. This is where people are anticipating what's going to happen to my job role, what's going to happen to my salary, what's going to happen to my promotion, what's going to happen to my skill set. So you don't know what's going to happen. So the next one is your future state. Now, future state is the green color, is what or where you want to be. Now, why do we say future state is unknown? Very simple. You already have an objective, you already have a desired outcome, but you're still moving to that. The question is that how well and how much are you moving your people to achieve that objective? Then come to the next one. This is where we always talk about the what happens in the organization. I believe Halimatun, Sheila, Richard, right? I believe that in your working environment or your observation, employees engagement, when something new introduced, for example, a new application or new system or new methodology in the organization, right? On the first communication, when people are in these three levels, the green color, yellow color, and red color, they're always at the green color because it's a comfort zone. The comfort is what makes people do, okay, I come to work, I do my job, then I go back. I come to work, I do my job, I go back. So there's already a repeated behavior. But when you introduce a change, what is the first thing happens? People will resist. People will resist. So when people resist, it's nothing wrong with them. Because when you are going to rock the boat, they get agitated. So what happens? The curve will go down to the worry state. Now, this is the beauty. When it goes to the worry state, what happens to the company's productivity? What happens to the employee satisfaction? And what happens to the resistance? People become unhappy. Productivity will be lost. There are a lot of rumors. Oh, hey, what is happening? Why we are changing our business? Why are we changing our location? Why we are closing down our branches? And why the new boss bringing in the new people? So all these things are questions that affects the productivity. Now, if you have a structured change management process framework in place, you can see the arrow going up to the green color. Now, the next slide will tell you basically, if you have one department, it's okay. How about you have got various divisions, various departments? So remember, this is the practical part of it, because there are a lot of departments, a lot of divisions are going through changes. If you look at Department C and Department B, they are taking a different approach on managing change in the organization. People can go straight, like for example, the Department D, from the day the communication is expressed, it goes straight. The employees are straight away going to the active resistance. They can resign, they can go and talk about their company because they do not know what's happening. So how do you avoid this? This is what happens in every organization. Now the question is that, so what? The question is, so what? When you go through this process, I say, Mr. Nantha, this is normal. Every company goes through this. Every organization goes through this. Now, looking at the situation, right, as a change manager, as a change driver, or the business leader in the organization, they will look at what's happening, and they will say that, okay, fine, people want to leave, they go. So what needs to happen here is that to have a change management framework to make sure that people are changing throughout the process. So what's next? The next slide you can see, current state, transition state, future stage. Remember, we always want to go to future state. Now, the future is unknown. We do not know where are we going, but business leaders set the objective. Now, the question is that, are the people are following? We do not know. That's why we need to look at the current state, the transition state, and the future state. We need to move people from one behavioral environment to another behavioral environment. You can't introduce a system, asking them to use it without you communicating to them what is the benefit of the system, what and how the system can help you, so that they will be changing their mindset. So that's why we're looking at, if you look at the next slide, right, what happens with and without, what happens with and without a change management. You see, the current state, we have all full CCC in every boxes, but you go to the transition state, if you do not communicate enough to your people, if you don't tell them how the changes is going to impact them, if you don't support them, if we don't train them, if we don't coach them, you lose them. That's the thing. You lose them. You lose them. Look at the future states. We are not materializing the benefit. So next one. So this one shows, the next slide, it's very clear, the top and the bottom. The top one is you have a CM plan in your organization. You look at the word success. Now, whatever that you do in an organization, whether you are a business leader, whether you're a project manager, whether you're a change manager, you want to achieve a certain success in your project. People don't simply do project for no reason. They have a need. Every change that's happening in the organization requires or demonstrated to a project. You might be wondering, hey, why my company got so many projects are coming in, so many projects they're rolling out? No. Projects are coming in because it shows that, our company is changing. We are moving into new territory. We are installing a new system. We are buying new types of machineries. So when change happens, right, you need to make sure that everybody is aware. So that's where the transition, if you look at the box below, the transition is a bit longer. What does it mean? People are taking a longer time to change. Number two, you look at the transition state, it's a lot of white inside, meaning to say these are wastages. So combined, if you do not have a proper change management strategy, you are going to lose people, you're going to lose resources, you're not going to achieve the project intention. So you look at the future state, it's a lot of holes and gaps. What does it mean? Your success is not maximized. Now, coming back to the project, why are we doing this? Because we have a need to change. Now, look at the next slide, right? The next slide will tell you what will happen if you don't have a structured, proven framework to manage your change. You'll have a lower ROI. Nobody wants to do a project to get lower ROI. ROI is a return of investment. And if you don't really manage the people side of the change, you're going to have a lot of failures. And you're not going to improve. You're not going to get what you wanted. Now, what happens? The next slide will tell you that if you want to have a successful change environment, for successful change, it requires two. Now, you can see a lot of companies, even finance, even manufacturing or logistic, right? They have a lot of project managers, projects after projects. Now, what will influence or determine the success of any change or any project? We need two arms. I'll always say this analogy. You need to have two arms. One is the technical side, is the project management. I think you can see in many organizations, you talk about project management, the PMP certification. These are the people who will use certain techniques and tools and systems to develop systems or business processes. They design, develop, deliver. Why? This is a technical guy, right? You can't change your processes without a system. So systems being developed by a project manager. Now, second one, the lower part, people side. This is the people side where change management comes in. I will not talk about project management. I'll talk about the change management. Now, change management is the managing people side of the change, which we are going to see today. So today's discussion is talking about ADKAR model, talking about the people individual model. So if you have technical side and the people side comes together, they can facilitate people from where they are going through and where they want to be, and you will achieve that success. Now, end of the day, every organization, they already have a business objective, what they want to achieve, and that achievement is through a project, and that project they manage the project to be success. So next one will be, the next slide will say that these are the processes. Now, I think many of you have seen project management processes and tools. If you have not, I think these are the processes. We start, we plan, we design, and we implement. That's the project management phases. The tools you can see, statement of work, project charter. So basically, these are the processes and tools. But what are we looking at here is that the focus on the change management from the people side of the change. Now, what we do is that we study the strategy, how to develop a strategy, how to implement the strategy, how to reinforce the strategy of change. And we got a lot of tools that I share with you. But in this webinar, I will not be able to share all the tools, but one of the tools I'll share, which will tell you how these tools can assist you as a business leader or change manager or project manager to achieve your results. Yeah, next one. Now, I'm going to share a little bit about Proside. Now, Proside. Okay, this whole methodology, right? I think you saw the webinar title, ADKAR, the 5 building blocks, right? But before I go to the 5 building blocks, I need to share with you, where does this block comes from? Where does this block comes from, right? So this is where the Proside comes in. Proside is a product or market research company on change management, specifically on change management, nothing else, all right? And they have a framework, or they call processes, and they have a market research institution, a company, where they study what is the best practices internationally to use when it comes to managing change. So all their studies, reports are from research based and very holistic. Is all covers all segments in the organization and it's easy to use model. So Proside is a professional science in managing change. So they help you how do you help people through the change process in your organization. So the next one would be, this one speaks about what Proside is basically train people in terms of being certification. All right, they are 20 years in the doing research in the change management, and 80% 80% of the 100 companies, Fortune companies, partner with Proside. Right, and we have about 75,000 trained and certified practitioners worldwide. All right, it's a little bit about the Proside. Next one. Now, if you look at the Proside, so what's so different and so special about Proside? They do research. Now, what and how this research can be helpful to us as a practitioner or as a change driver or someone implementing change or someone involved in the change process? You look at it, okay, 45% of projects are impacting 1,000 people and more employees. What does it mean? The changes are happening gradually, number one. Number two, in a bigger scale. So the question is that, how do we manage this? How do you manage this? In my experience, right, facilitating and also advising clients and both private and government, right, I come across situation where they do not have a right or effective strategy, and they immediately go into execution of the change management plan without having a proper follow through. So I could see that if this is the case, it's going to be impacting their change strategy. The next one speaks about the next slide. Yeah. So again, I was mentioning about the Proside best practices, right? These are the findings. Now, this is done after interviewing and surveying about 1,800 individuals across the industry. What does it show? It shows 7 critical touch points, critical success factor. Number one, you need to have a business leader. I've been speaking about business leader earlier, right? So business leader, they must play their part being visible and active throughout the project. And number two, you must have a structured change management approach. Number two is missing. Number two is what missing in many organizations. And from my observation, this is the critical point. So if you don't have a structured change management approach, you will go through the transition, but you're going to have a longer period and more wastages, which we don't want. Right? So you're looking at frequent and open communication. That's a baseline. Then talking about employee engagement, dedicated change management resources, and integrating project management, change management, and engagement with the middle manager. These are the 7 key success factors. Now, what I'm saying is that it may not be directly relevant for you, but to know that these are the key success factors, what is stopping us from leveraging these findings? So we'll do that more in this particular methodology. Yes, next one. Now, when you look at it here, now I've been talking about change management. Now let's come to the ground level, zero ground level. The change management is basically talking about applying a structured process. That's the keyword. Applying a structured process to lead people to achieve the desired outcome. So we're going to talk about the project level and the organization level, talking about everybody. So now you just focus on the project level. Yeah, next one. Now, if you look at this, right, now one glance, you will know that the Proside methodology, talking about people side of the change, is proven 6 times. If you have a structured methodology, you will 6 times you will achieve your budget, you achieve your objective. Right? Next one. It is talking about the budget and also the schedule. Now, if you're a project manager or if you are involved in the managing projects in any of the organization, the project management have 3 areas. Number one, you're talking about the meeting objective in terms of timeline, budget, and also the ROI. If you have a structured approach to do that, you'll be able to achieve that target. Now, the question is that I already given you the high level. Now, let's go to the what do you need to get change effectively done in your organization? Yeah, next one. If you look at this, right, now, don't worry, this is a very nice picture, all right? Somebody told me it looked like a snail, but never mind, all right? So this is what Proside 3-phase process, all right? Our topic of the day is looking at the center, which is the ADKAR, correct? Now, why I'm showing you this, because ADKAR is not alone, but it's in a group of family of processes. Now, if you look at the Proside 3-phase process, we start with prepare approach. Number 2, manage change. Number 3, sustain outcome. So these are the framework for managing change. Now, I believe that there are many change drivers, change management specialists are doing certain strategy, but Proside change management strategy is simple, repeatable, and usable. Now, what is focus here? If you look at the phase itself, right? You prepare, approach, you manage change, you sustain outcome. This is the complete framework. And all this framework focusing on the ADKAR. What is ADKAR? Is individual change. I repeat, yeah. ADKAR is the individual change model. If you were to tackle the individual ADKAR or the ADKAR model or individual, your change management initiative will be seamlessly executed. Next one. Yeah, so I'm going to walk you through a little bit about ADKAR. All right, I'm not sure how many of you heard. Okay, if you have, and if you have not, maybe you can put in the chat pane. Okay, I've never heard about it. Yeah, I've seen it, but I don't know what is that. Very simple. All right, ADKAR is an individual change model. That's it. And this model is proven, is one of the world's most famous model, just for information, right? And this model is a backbone for whole change management framework. So that's why in Proside, they focus on the people's side of the change, which looks into the individual. What makes them to support, facilitate the change in your organization? Now, when I say employees, don't think only the frontliners. Don't think about the clericals, the junior staff, and the managers. It speaks for everybody. The managers, the senior management, and even the CEO, right? So successful change at its core rooted something much simpler. How to facilitate change with one person. This is Jeff Hyatt, the Proside founder, creator of ADKAR. Next one. Now, if you look at this change, again, I'm going to focus on ADKAR, yeah, the center. Next one. Now, yeah, ADKAR model. Yeah, go ahead. Now, ADKAR model, three important things. Now, I can say about ADKAR, how important, all the things. This is a practical model that is usable to see results. I repeat, yeah. This is a practical model that once utilized, you can see results. So it talks about outcome-oriented building blocks. Outcome-based. If you do this, if you were to able to put them into ADKAR process, you can see people changing. Right, and it's based on extensive study of change patterns because they have done a lot of studies along the way. And third one is that it's applied at the individual and organizational level. Yeah, next one. Okay, now if you are not if you have not seen ADKAR before, it is the first time you're seeing it. It's okay. It's okay. It is the 5 building blocks. You know, if you have a 5 fingers, right, 5 building blocks into a hand, right? If you want to have the hand stronger, look at all your fingers daily. ADKAR, right? So A, it's awareness. I'll go through one by one, not to worry, right? Now, I'll tell you how the Proside methodology works and how the ADKAR model works in your change management to achieve your results. Now, talking about awareness, desire, knowledge, ability, and reinforcement. Now, what does it mean? Can you go to the next one? Now, in your organization, when you implement or you execute a change, all right, maybe you implement a new project, a new market. Later on, Miss Abby will be sharing with you how she implemented the 2 projects in her organization. So a couple of projects that I've seen last time: installation of a new system, e-procurement, aligning e-supply, e-logistic. So these are the new systems or new processes are being introduced. Now the question is that we know business have to change. We know we need to introduce more technological or perhaps more simplified processes in the organization. Now the question is that, number one, does your people, whether you or the employee, do they have that awareness? Now, do we know why are we changing? Do you have the desire to change? Do you have the knowledge to change? Do you have the information? Do you have the ability? Can you perform the new task with the new machine? Or can you keep on continuing the same behavior? If you look at the definition, everyone will ask the question, what is the nature of the change in the awareness? Why are we changing? What is the risk of not changing? If you look at the next slide, right? I mean, the items inside there, what you hear and triggers for building. Okay. The next one. Okay, good. If you look at it, right, the moment an employee asks the question, why are we doing this? That means he doesn't have awareness. Why are we doing it now? Why if you don't do it? What if you don't do it? So these are 3 questions In awareness, you have to answer. Failure to answer or reply to this question, people will not understand. Then they will not be joining the change process that you are asking them to do. Now, this is where, so once you provide the awareness, why are we changing? Then they'll say, then the employee will tell, okay, now I understand. For example, you are implementing Microsoft 365 in your office, all right? And people are, they know there's 365 apps is in the office, but they're not using it. The question is that they do not know why we're using it. And why are you using it now? If I don't use it, what's the problem? You know what I mean? So this is a simple question that ADKAR answers. So you and I, or those who are in the change driver's seat, you need to understand, you need to communicate. You need to communicate, all right, through your manager or through your superior to tell them, guys, this is what's happening. This is a new system will help you, and this is what we will do to yourself. Now, look at desire. Desire is where your individuals, the employees, now, okay, the 365 is going to help me. The 365 is going to enhance my career, the Office 365, for example. So when employees see, okay, now I know what's in for me. I know I'll take a personal choice. Then I will use the new system. So until then, right, when they don't have desire, forget it. You're going to have a challenge because you can see a lot of people going to resist. A lot of people not going to buy your idea. A lot of people will fall back. Why must I use Microsoft 365? I can use the old Microsoft window. All right. And knowledge. Okay lah. The person has decided, okay, I know how important is 365, can do my work better. I think I can learn more things. But you don't give him training. You don't give him the knowledge. How is he going to do? Then the last one, the third one, fourth one, the ability. This is where the staff, the employee knows the importance of the new system. He has the desire to use the new system and he knows how to use the new system. Now you're using it. The ability is the one will tell you that, okay, my guys understands what to do and is doing it. The last one is that reinforcement. If you do not follow through, if you do not check on them, they'll go back using their other systems. Now, this is the human behavior. Now, why I say this, right? Proside is professional science. They look at human behavior, how people behave in an environment, especially in a change environment. Next one. Now, this slides encapsulates the importance of people creating the awareness, desire, and the knowledge and the ability. Now, ability is what will ensure that whatever that you want the staff to do, is doing it. I repeat here, ability, when you come to the ability stage, this is where you find the staff doing what he's supposed to do. That means two things happen. Number one, he's changing his behavior. Number two, he's changing his action. This is what we want. If you implement a project, if you implement a system, you want people to adopt. You want people to embrace. You want people to use. If you produce something and people are not using it, then your project has failed. Do you want that? Definitely not. Right? Now, the reinforcement is go by circle to ensure that you consistently achieve that objective. Next one. Okay. Just share with you a little bit about, can you click one more? There are two more graphs. Okay. Yeah. Now, if you look at ADKAR barrier point, I've been talking about ADKAR. Now, how do you do that? Very simple. We have a questionnaire, a survey, which is online, it's a cloud-based. It's not fill up the form. You administer that questions to your participants, all right, either by survey or cloud-based. You can identify where they are. Now, so what? Now, when you have this barrier point, right, you'll be able to see where is your employee stuck. If anyone scored 3 and below, that means he has a problem there. For example, the first one, ADKAR. The A is the ability. All right? Anything more than 3 is good. But if you look at the first graph, the barrier point is why? Because it's 2. 2 is less than 3. Meaning to say, your employee have problem stuck with ability. What to do? Now, what to do? The question is that, okay, if we have a CM structure, we will know that that portion, that employee, that department, we can customize and scale a tactical change management strategy for that individual. How? Very simple. The person cannot do. He already know importance of the system. He has the desire, he has the knowledge, but he cannot do. Why? This is where we need to help him out. That's where the support system comes in, the coaching comes in, the buddy system comes in, peer group comes in. So likewise, if you can see the second one, The barrier point is awareness, right? What does it mean? The staff do not know why we are changing, what's the nature of the change, and what's the risk of not changing. So when you have that question, you need to tackle that. You cannot keep quiet. That's where people don't adopt your structure. You need to communicate more, right? You need to engage them more. How? So in change management structure, we have plans. If you have these challenges, what to do? If your employee stuck with knowledge, so what we do? So this is a structured change management plan that we can provide to your staff. Why? We want to move them, everybody, to the ability. All right, next one. Okay, so I'm going to talk about ADKAR at the workplace. Now, this is very, very interesting, right? You might be telling, hey, Nantha, I have 50 staff, or I have 100 staff, I have 500 staff. What happens if you have 5,000 staff? All right. So remember, ADKAR is an individual change model. What we're going to do is that if you change 1% or 5% or 20% or 1,000%, everyone starts with that individual. So if you can use ADKAR for the individual to measure where they are, you'll be able to do a group cluster. We call it clustering of ADKAR. Don't worry. We use an analysis of group. We don't go individual. You got no time and also no resources to do that. Next one. Yeah. So this is one of the model. What does it show? It's very simple. Your project is performance excellence project. So you got a purpose. Why are we doing this? Remember, you don't do project without a reason. There must be a reason why certain projects is wanted. For this purpose, right? They want to increase that efficiency, performance plan, strengthen their targets. Those are the purpose. And what is going to be impacted? Remember, not everybody going to impact it in same way. They're going to impact it in different way. That's why the particulars, what are we changing? Maybe the process, maybe the system. For performance appraisal, we talk about the systems and processes. And we will identify who is affected most, who is affected less. Last one is the people. Now, the whole change management speaks about people, managing people's change. So you need to identify who are the impacted group. And if people don't change, you will not be able to get your purpose achieved. Next one. Okay, now, this is quite interesting, but I think again, look at the impact, right? There are 10 aspects of change impact. If you enroll, if you implement a certain projects, right, it will hit 10 of these aspects. For example, if I install Microsoft 365, all right, will it impact my location? Will it impact compensation? No. If it's no, means we got a scoring for this. We got a scoring. Now, what is the impact? If the impact is in the processes, okay. In the impact in the system, okay. How much? 0 is no impact. 5 is hyper impact. So when you do that scoring, you will know how am I supposed to customize my CM plan for this division. How am I supposed to customize my plan for this department? So this will assist you to customize and scale your strategy. Remember, in the beginning, I said you need to have a strategy that you can implement to move people to achieve your objective. Next one. Now, okay, we have actually both. I think this Proside is basically from US. All right, the methodology, the examples. All right, and the first name is Kavita. I think it's an Indian name, but I think it's in US also Kavita, I suppose. Right, you got Kavita, Rahim, Grace, Elena, and Eric. Now, what does it mean? We have individuals. They are unique. They behave differently. They act differently. They learn differently. So if you look at these 5 people, right, each of them takes a longer time to learn, starting slow and finishing fast. So meaning to say everyone starts at their own pace. So as a change manager, as a business leader, I need to understand, not everybody learns at the same time. Not everybody learns at a faster rate. So you need to identify what and how they go through this process. So ADKAR will help you. ADKAR will help you. For example, Kavita, she's the first one to create the awareness. She knows why are we doing this. She knows what's in for her and what is the knowledge that she has to get. All right. So she moved on very fast. Look at Alana. Alana starts very, very late. Why? Maybe she's not in the group, or maybe she doesn't feel the importance until at the later part, she said, okay, now I know why you're using it. See, there's the way stages. So what you can do, you can ask Kavita to connect with Alana and support her. So these are the intervention that we talk about, the change management. Yeah, next one. All right, so what happens if you don't have ADKAR? You're going to have people are asking the same question. All right, if there's no knowledge, people don't know how to use. If they don't reinforce, they go back to the old way of doing it. Next one. Okay, so milestone very simple. Those who are in the project management, we would know, and perhaps you look at the ADKAR. Kickoff, you don't have awareness, but when it comes to your go live, make sure everyone knows what to do. Make sure everyone have the information. Everyone have the desire. That's where you go live. Next one. Yeah, there's another one down there. Yeah, this is what normally happens. This is what normally happens where you cram everything during the go live because you don't plan out, because you don't have a structure. If you have a structure, you can spread out accordingly when I want to communicate, when I want engage my bosses to go and see the employees, when I want to train them, then when I want them to deploy during that go live. All right, next one. Okay, so next, this is the same thing. Yeah, next one. All right, so why we use ADKAR? ADKAR is a very important or individual change model, which will give you a making sense of a change. People know, okay, all right, I think I will use the new system. Why? Because they know if they don't do it, all right, it will going to affect their personal and also professional life. Guiding change management plans. Once you implement ADKAR, you know whether you want to focus on certain department division accordingly, and you measure progress. Very important. Many organizations, they don't have the metrics to measure how the staff are performing in terms of their change transition. Then diagnose gap, develop corrective actions, and enabling managers and supervisors. This ADKAR is very, very practical and usable. Next one. Okay. Okay, this is quite an interesting slides, all right? So we're talking about the role. In an organization, you cannot not escape involving senior leaders, change practitioners, project teams, people manager, and front end. So these are the five level of roles in an organization. That's why Proside looks at each one of them, because each one of them play an important role in the change perspective. Next one. Yeah, so we create desire, knowledge, and ability, because everybody needs to know what they're supposed to do. Like, for example, awareness, the need of the change, the desire. For example, one particular department do not have the desire. So what we do? Do we force them? I seen a lot of clients, right? They say, no, Nantha, we just circulate the memo, we just send out the email, we force them to do it. Yes, true, it happens. But if you were to look carefully, right, to what extent you can force people to do it? You need to facilitate the change. That's why the ADKAR comes in. If the person has not desire, or the department do not have a desire, in change management, we have a strategy. We have a strategy to tackle that particular point. So I'm not going to share it here, but what I'm saying is that each role has challenges, and change management have a strategy to overcome them. Next one. Yeah, these are the 4 roles I mentioned just now. Always remember, in any organization, you cannot not leave any one of them out. Number one is the sponsor. Now, when I say sponsor, right, they are the leaders. So in some organization, it's take about business leaders, senior management, the key drivers, anyone who has the authority, who has the vision to drive the project. And people manager are the managers who are day-to-day running the department with the employee below them. And the change practitioner and the project manager, like people like you and I, we play our role in the backstage. So we are more of a strategizer. So change practitioner will prepare the people side of the change. The project manager will develop the system to be rolled out. So if I'm a change manager, I will know is my people ready or not. How? Using the ADKAR model. If people are not ready, I will tell the project manager, don't do now because my people is not ready. All right, that's how the structure works. Next one. Okay, so talking about the business leaders, right? In Proside methodology, it says that with the research, number 1 success factor for every project is the business leader. Now, you might be telling me, oh, no, Nantha, project manager is the one decides. No. All right. The 70% of project fail or success because of the role of the sponsor, which is the leader. All right. Leader must be actively involved. They must build coalition and communicate. This is the number 1. Next one. So all these things are just to share with you. It is not taken in the Google or taken elsewhere. It is done through a research. All right. It says that 70% of an effective sponsor will correlate directly to the project success. If you want to change if you are bringing a change in your organization, it is demonstrated through a project. So if the project has a good business leader to engage, your project can be successful. All right. Next one. Okay, so this is about, okay, the barrier point. Remember I was mentioning about ADKAR. So ADKAR, when you do scoring, all right, not to worry, in the webinar we don't do the scoring. It's just a mental mindset is when you have 3 and below, that's where the sponsor stuck. All right, the business leader. Why he stuck? He does not know how to involve in the change process effectively. We are not saying the business leader don't know how to do the job. The business leader are the key people. But when it comes to change management, they are stuck in terms of knowledge. How we do? Then we share with them the sponsor briefing, share with them the best practices and also a plan for them. Next one. Okay. I remember I mentioned about the sponsor or the business leader, and the other key people is that manager. All right. Manager is one critical touch point because they are the one closest to the employee. Now, I'm not talking about managers' usual role, planning, organizing, directing, controlling. No. This is the manager's role in times of change. Manager must be able to communicate well with their employees what is happening, able to be liaison with them, what the senior management is telling, able to advocate, become like a lawyer for the employee, and manage to resist. I mean, manager is the first touch point lah. People always go and complain, hey, why you changing lah? Why keep on changing lah? We just change for see some more. He hear all the issues from the staff, all right? PT also lah. Then last one is the coach. The coach is a very important skill set of a manager. Next one. Yeah, so employee trust them, they are closest to the changes that happens and they mitigate resistance and they build support. Yep, next. Now, this is a resistance for the manager. A manager also a human being. They also have a barrier point. Barrier point means what are the stopping block for them? It's a desire. Next one. Okay, this is the role. If we in the change management ADKAR, right, we identify who are the key roles, what is the ADKAR for them, what's the barrier point, what action we take. Next one. This one example. This one example. The first one is the business leader. Second one is the manager, and third one is the coalition. Now, what does it mean? That every level in your organization, they will have to go through ADKAR. Why? Because we'll be able to support and facilitate them to reach the ability. The ability is the one will tell you the project is achieved or not. The last slide. Yeah, okay. This is for information, not to worry, all right? This basically talks about, so what? We have ADKAR, so what? Now, by knowing ADKAR, you and I as a change driver or change change agent, we'll be able to see how we can customize the plan. If you see the sponsor plan, people manager plan, communication plan, training plan, these are the 4 competency or change management plan that can drive your ADKAR to support your people to achieve that desired results, right? So, next one. Now, so remember, why, you see, Proside is quite huge, all right, in terms of the framework and also the activity. But the ADKAR is the blueprint. ADKAR is the most important backbone for the change management, right? And every change that happens, you need to focus on the individual, right? So individual change model, which is ADKAR. Okay, good. I think this is the last slide, right? Now, basically what I've shared is, I've given you a walkthrough of, in a high level, the change, why change management is important, all right? We share about the Proside methodology, and I give you the methodology in a bigger scale. And I tell you what ADKAR can be used to manage your change initiative in your organization. All right? Okay, thank you. Chris, back to you, Chris.
All right. Thank you, Nanda, for giving us a good understanding about change management,
Yes, my
Proside,
pleasure.
and the ADKAR model. I'm sure our guests here today would benefit tremendously from your sharing. Just a gentle reminder, if you have any questions that you would like to ask, kindly do send your questions in the Q&A panel. I have received a few already, so keep it coming. And now I would like to invite Abby to continue with her sharing on her insights and successes as a change management practitioner. So over to you, Abby.
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm trying to project my screen. Can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Yes.
Great. So let me put it on presentation mode. Right. So glad to be here. I'll try to, I understand that, we are running a little behind time, but I'll try to wrap up my portion as quickly as possible. So as Chris has actually introduced me, I have over 20 years in business consulting. And I joined a shared service center about 3 years ago. to set up the change management function, okay, to help our clients all over the world with their project transformation journey. And as the client business, a lot of them are mainly from the primary industries. So primary industries meaning they are in agriculture, they're also in oil and gas. So you can imagine the users, when we implement a project, the level of technology exposure varies very widely, even within a business itself, okay? So when I set up this change management function, I needed a methodology and framework that has proven to work, and it's versatile and people-centric for me to apply. So I've actually chosen Proside as the one that we take as guidance. And so, as I've mentioned, the client business has actually in various primary industry, and in itself, they have their own organization cultures. Okay, they have their own practices, habits of people, and they carries with them different histories of project failures and successes. Okay, and how we have applied Proside is that we take it as a guide. Okay, we take it as a guide and reference where it's adapted. And when we apply it, it very much depends on the change practitioner to apply it on the project in itself, while we understand the project situation, while we understand the culture, the organization culture of the people, right? And what we want to achieve. So it is important that, whatever that we learn from Proside and the methodology that we learn, we need to be able to apply it flexibly, on the projects that we're talking about. So there's no one fixed way to implement change, which is, why change management is such an interesting career. Okay, every project has its own set of has its own vision, objectives, and its own set of challenges. Okay. Now I will talk about one project, and that is the business data loss prevention, or in short, BDLP, by using the Proside 4Ps. Okay, so this project is an implementation of a tool that requires users to know how to classify information. Okay, and it is also a tool that requires users to tag the different documents that they need to share with external parties, with the objective to make sure that the users do not share sensitive or critical information with external parties. That is the key objective and purpose. Okay, and because of the implementation of this tool, we need to pay attention to the change processes, the usage of the tool, how do you use the tool, and of course the mindset and attitudes of the people. You can imagine, before the implementation of this tool, you can freely share and send emails to external parties. But with the implementation of this tool, you need to know how to tag it first, tag it properly before you send it out. So if we don't manage this whole implementation properly, we will expect a lot of user backlash. So we need to manage this and strategize the implementation very carefully. Okay, and of course, the people who will be impacted by this implementation would be the people who needs to correspond with external parties. For example, the sales and marketing team, the procurement team that needs to deal with suppliers, the recruitment team that needs to deal with candidates or potential candidates, and of course, the project team that deals with the project vendors, and finance team with banks and regulatory bodies or even external auditors. It's estimated that about 8,000 users were actually impacted because of the implementation of this tool. So for this project, we actually used ADKAR and also the three-phase approach process to define how we want to deploy BDLP in all the businesses. Okay, let me just give you walk you through the journey, okay, that we have done. So for this project, we know it is a governance project, control and governance project, and we understand that there could be, if we don't do this, deal with this carefully, a lot of users will make complaints. There'll be backlashes from the users. So we went to the highest order. We actually gotten alignment and support from the project sponsors and the client leadership. So with that, we then onboard the local leaderships at the various businesses. Okay, we align with them on the project goals, the strategy that we want to deploy on the project, and the commitment of resources and time by these resources working with us on the project. Okay, and after the nominations were done, we onboard them. We call them the change agents, and working with them to actually identify the various stakeholder groups within the business, and we start arranging engagements with them as well. We did change impacts, analyzing where the major impacts are, because the before and after with the implementation of this tool, where the major changes would be, like what Nantha has actually brought you through. And we did a lot of awareness communications. Okay, we explained to people why we need this, when will it impact, when will it start, to go live and impact them, who will be impacted, and of course, sharing success stories to say how others have done it and we can do it too, okay, to build the confidence. And for the next stage of things, we also enlisted the help of local management. And this is so important because the local management would need to lead by example. Okay, we have given them materials where they share during their own project local meetings or huddles, where they will bring up the subject matter, talk about it, and remind the employees to attend the trainings, okay, that is to come. And we also did at this stage a user readiness survey. That's the first survey that we did to identify the level of understanding of the subject matter by the users. We have also used the opportunity to know what the user questions may be or if they're concerns, okay? And with all this information that we have gotten from the survey, then we try to break it down and say how we can address them, either in a communication from a newsletter manner, or do we address it in training or engagements? Okay, so this is the second stage. And in the next stage, we focus on training, developing the knowledge. Okay, so we did training needs analysis as part of preparation, and we incorporated all the change impacts that we have done earlier into the user training material. Okay, we've also developed a portal where they are able to reach, where users are able to reach to get user guides and videos. We have also created a screensaver. Okay, created a screensaver where, if it's not logged on or if it's idle for like 5 minutes, a screensaver will play and it will tell you how to tag, the tool by using the tool. And it's a constant reminder to the users, even when they are not in training. So this is a very good trick, for reminding users about the tool. And of course, we use the train the trainer approach where we train the agents. And as part of an assessment of the trainers, to make sure that they've understood the materials, we have included the element of assessment, which is a test. So we need to make sure that all trainers who are qualified to train the end users achieve a minimum marks during the assessment itself. And to make it easier for the users to adopt the tool and to adapt to the tool and to reach a certain comfort level, we broke down the implementation into 2 stages or phases. The first being allowing them to know how information are classified, to learn about the information classification and to tag the files. That's the first stage. The second stage is only when they are familiar with how things are classified and tagged. Then we switch on about 3 to 6 months later, the enforcement of the email routing of sensitive information to people manager. So the first stage, when we didn't switch on the enforcement, all emails which are incorrectly tagged or which are of sensitive information or suspected to contain sensitive information will be blocked from being sent to external parties. So we actually handle it in a two-phase approach. So it's easier for users to learn, because the first phase is about learning the tool, learning the new behaviors, getting comfortable with it. And then the second stage is about enforcing it. That's where the real deal is. And the ability is the stage where we go live, and before we go live, we actually did a readiness survey, a second one, with similar questions. And this time, the rating about the subject matter, the level of understanding is a lot better. So we know, and that is a gauge where we know users are ready to go live. Okay, and post-live, we actually closely monitor the user performance. Okay. Now, for reinforcement, I felt that this is a stage where a lot of projects are overlooked. The importance of it is a very underrated stage in a project, but it's, in my opinion, a very important one. Reinforcement is a stage where it's gone live. Okay, it's could be handed over to the business as usual team, the BAU team. But I felt that this is the real test of whether whatever changes we're trying to apply sticks. Okay, whether people are able to run it without you hand-holding them. This is a stage where, all the people are, going to run things by themselves, the employees within the business. So how we have actually helped to make sure that this reinforcement stage is solid is by sharing, putting in a process where during the orientation, this is a subject matter that needs to be educated to the new employees. Okay, so we actually developed simple slides for the orientation team to take, so that the new employees know that there is such a matter, there's such a tool, and to know where to go and look to self-learn the tool. So we actually have provided a platform where they have guides, the video training materials that they can actually tap into. And of course, 1 month after the post-implementation, we did user survey again. But the intention or the objective of this user survey post-live is more to understand the user experience using the tool, and also what they think could enhance the user experience by using the tool. So there are some user enhancements that we want to listen and allow the users to give us feedback. Okay. And of course, during this stage, we also develop a report, which is the user adoption report, where we look at how many users actually encounter issues. And what we realize is that at the very beginning, the first 2 weeks, there were a lot of users with tagging issues. They tagged the information incorrectly, and if emails aren't able to go out, but it quickly, all these issues quickly resolve within the month itself, and that is a very encouraging result for the team. And I also want to take just 1 minute to talk about the human factors that determine ROI, because this is the very result that we're looking at. So when you have implemented a tool or a project, to gauge whether the project is successful, you need to look at the adoption once you have implemented it, once the system has gone live, whether the people actually, how quickly are people picking it up? right? And whether they are actually utilizing it and how well they're using the tool or how well they're adapting to the new processes, okay, the new way of doing things. So these are all the indications that would indicate whether your project is successful or not. Okay, so that's all I have to share, and I hope you have enjoyed the session as well.
All right. Thank you, Abby, for sharing your insights and experience as a change management practitioner. I believe it is indeed valuable knowledge that you have shared with us today. So now we will have our Q&A session. Time is a bit behind. So I have a few questions here that I have with me. I think the first question, it's for you, Abby. How do you seek support from sponsors, from your sponsors? Can you share with me?
Well, the sponsors, to begin with, all projects has its own business case. So when they develop the business case, there are very specific goals that they want to achieve. So getting support from the sponsors is not really an issue because, they know that they have to work with you to achieve the project goals. And what you need to do is really to define what kind of help you need from them and to define, and to plan with them how they can be of help. It could be in a form of communications. You draft the whole newsletter in their name. They will review it, and if once they're okay, they can actually send it out to the employees, informing them about the project or sharing of information. So I felt that this has been the approach that we have used for a lot of projects, right? We develop newsletter or articles on behalf of the leadership so that they can send it on behalf of the project using their name. On one hand, there's visibility of them playing a part, lead by example. At the same time, it's also a very powerful message to the employees to say, I need you to support this as well.
Second question, I think it's for Nantha. And can you please share about the tools in Proside change management?
Excellent. Thank you. Good question. I believe that I shared with you the framework and also the ADKAR model. These are the two critical elements that ensures that you reach to your particular objective. Now, bear in mind, like what Chris has mentioned now, the question, right? The tools are the important part in Proside. Now, the change management that Proside is exhibiting, right? So it gives you the knowledge. What I shared with you, only the knowledge, the overview of it, and also give you the skills in the change management. And the best part is that the tools. Now, in Proside, tools are web-based and digital content. So we will not you will be implementing your project, the change management with the tool in the website. It's a cloud-based. It will tell you what is your status of your project. If your project is healthy or requires certain help, it will give you the trigger. Then number two, what is the interventions required for your project? How do you structure change management activities? How do you monitor? How do you track? So all these are using a Proside Solution Hub suite. So they got three components. Number one is that the knowledge hub, all the content, all the questionnaires is all embedded there. And number two, you have the Proxima, is a project management. It will help you to track how is the project going, what interventions is required. And number three will be the your research hub. The research hub is, as I said, right, Proside is a research-based company. So all the researchers they put in the website, in the portal. So in the portal, if you have an access, you are not only having that knowledge, but and also the skill. You have the tool to support you in managing the change in your organization. So the tools in this methodology is very much proven, easy, repeatable, and easily can be used in your organization. Yes, thank you, Chris.
All right. Another question. I think this is for Abby. Under ultimate utilization ROI, how many percentage buy-in have your project achieved?
Oh, this is an easy answer. I can't, for other projects, I can't usually say, what is the buy-in. But for this BTLP, because you have to know how to tag the information correctly. So if you don't use it, if you don't know how to tag it, you don't use it, you won't be able to send your usual communications with external parties. So the buy-in or adoption is actually 100%. It has to be correct. Otherwise, you're just not able to send with and communicate with external parties.
All right. Thank you. I think we'll go for a last question. How do you administer ADKAR?
Okay, all right. I think it's a good question because I've been talking about ADKAR. Now the question is that how? All right. In change management, the challenge always is, Nantha, I know the knowledge, but the question is that how do I do it? Now, ADKAR, as I said, right, is an assessment that to indicate where is the how prepared is your staff to embrace the change. All right, it's an individual model. So we can apply in two ways. One, if it's a smaller number of people in your organization, you can have a questionnaire. It's already all provided in the structure. So the question is, you apply like a survey form. You have a conversation with your employee, ask him about the awareness level, the desire, the knowledge, ability, and reinforcement level, and do the scoring. And you can populate, and you can see what intervention you want to give. But if you have a larger population, larger division, larger group impacted, you can use ADKAR Analyzer. It's another tool that you can use to measure where is which element of ADKAR your population resides. By knowing that, it will help you to customize and scale your CM strategy in terms of your manager plan, training plan, communication plan, and resistance management plan. Right? So you can use various ways depending on your. I always tell clients, or rather the recipient, that you need to know your organizational structure. What kind of leadership, what kind of culture, what kind of people that you have, what kind of system that you utilize. So ADKAR Analyzer you can use for the bigger group to get the feedback from your population, from the employees, or you can actually have a survey form for smaller group. Thanks, Chris.
Okay, and last question from Ati. Does benefit realization, BR, is the element of the change management?
Arti, is it?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Arti. It's a very good question. Okay. The benefit realization is basically when you start off your project, whether when you start with the project charter or with the business strategy, right? You always have in mind that what is that you want to achieve end of the day. It could be increase the revenue by 30%, reduce the cost by 20%, market penetration to the new segmentation. So you already set upfront what you want to achieve. Then you strategize your change management plan accordingly with the project management plan. Yeah, business realization is that what is that end of the day that you want to achieve, and that achievement is set by a senior management or the business leaders, and we customize our change management plan and the project management plan to attain that business results. When you achieve that, then your benefits is realized. For example, when you say that I want all the 500 people to adopt and use the new system, right? That is one of the KPI, for example. But along the way, when you implement the system and when you have a structured change management in place, out of 500, only 300 are using the system. Do you think that in that case, the benefits is being realized? No. You expected 500, but only 300 using it. So 200, you lost it. So the benefit of introducing the system or the new technology for the population is not realized. So this could be under the adoption, how many people are using the system, how well they're using the system, or in terms of the project objective itself. Has the project achieved that target assigned? So that's the business realization. So anyway, as I said, right, we don't do project, we don't do change without any purpose. So the purpose must be very clear. Why are you doing this? What is the business reason? What is the business benefit? What is the business outcome? Then you strategize your plans. Thank you, Dan. Thank you for that, Tika.
All right, thank you. So I guess that's about it today. So thank you everyone for attending the session today. I do hope you do have now a better understanding of change management and how Proside and ADKAR can assist you with your organization and your change initiatives. So if you have any more questions that you would like to ask our speakers or find out more about Proside change management, kindly do contact us at 016-217-7965 or email us at marketing@kpintaacademy.com. You can refer to those information in the chat pane. It's already been posted there. So So I guess this is it. Thank you, Nanda. Thank you, Evie. And thank you, everyone, for
Thank you,
attending the
everyone.
session
Thank you,
today.
everyone, for your time. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you and stay safe, everybody. Goodbye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.